I think all three components of this conversational cycle are crucial. So let's go over what happens when one of these elements are missing. When you don't have listening in the conversational cycle, you have poor listening, which should be self evident at this point, why it might damage a conversation to not be listening to what the other person is saying.
I know the most important part is I just have to ask good questions to engage the other person and then rely on listening to find those topics that they're interested in, that motivate them, that inspire them, and then connect on that topic.
If you're not listening, you cannot find what they're interested in, and you cannot connect. Connection requires both for you to share part of yourself and to listen while another person shares part of themselves. What happens if you take out the statement? Well, if all you do is ask questions and then listen and then follow up questions and then listen some more, then what you have is not a conversation anymore. It now becomes an interrogation.
And I know there's a lot of advice out there that says questions are bad, right? If you ask too many questions, it's an interview process, and it's kind of taking information from the other person. And it's not that questions are bad, it's what happens after the question.
It's not that questions are bad, it's that what happens after the question is just as important. If all you do is listen and load up a new question and then ask and then listen, the other person is eventually going to say, okay, enough questions, bye-bye now. So unless you're offering a little bit of yourself, it's something that the other person can connect with, then you're not really having a conversation. You're conducting an interview, which is very different. And finally, what if there's no question? Well, at this point, you might run into a dead conversation. Questions are the engine that drives people to speak. So without that, conversations can die off quite quickly.
So now, by using a question, we're not searching for what to say next. We're giving the other person an opportunity to share with us and listen to their answer. That's the important part. So a lot of people come to me and they want to know what to say. AJ, what are the words? What do I need to be saying? When in actuality, we need to be listening.
I like how he ties everything together here. When you don't use a question, you are putting way too much pressure on yourself and the other person to think of all of these great ideas off of the dome. When in reality, a question is amazing because A, it takes the pressure off of yourself to talk about yourself, and B, it gives the other person a signpost, something that they can really dig into and something that you can listen to and find an emotional bid and start to supply statements of connection. So it's nice to start with a question and then using some very intense listening with your ears as well as your eyes, being able to produce some kind of statement of connection. Now, this all sounds very abstract. So here's an example that I found on the Art of Charms blog. So, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a firefighter. Wow, so cool. Do you like it? Yeah, it's great. It's what I've dreamed of doing since I was a kid. Impressive. You know, only 5% of people end up doing what they dreamt of doing as a kid. At least that's just a statistic I made up because it sounds right. I think it's awesome you're living your childhood dream. My childhood dream was to be a superhero, and it didn't quite work out. Unless you count adopting a dog as heroic. Not saying that I'm a hero or anything. Oh my god, I love dogs. What kind of dogs do you have? By allowing space not only for questions and listening, but also to offer some kind of statement of connection, you can really have compelling and engaging conversations with other people, with your students, with your coworkers, with your friends. So I hope that you found this useful or interesting, and I look forward to seeing you in class next time. Until then, cheers!